In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create a circular picture-in-picture effect with the ATEM Mini Pro, just like the one you're seeing right now. Hi, I'm Aaron Parecki, and my goal is to help you get better at live streams and live video production. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to recreate this effect in the ATEM Mini control panel. So first, a quick recap of how these effects work in the ATEM Mini. The upstream key is the one we're going to use for this because it gives us the most flexibility and the most different tools to manipulate the image. The way that this works is you essentially first pick a background layer by choosing one of the inputs from your program, and then you can use an upstream keyer on top of it to layer some sort of effects over it. So if we open up the upstream key panel here, we can see there's a few different kinds of upstream key effects we can use. There's the Luma key, the Chroma key, Pattern, and DVE. And these all do slightly different things, and they're useful in different situations. What we're going to use to make the circle effect is the one called Pattern. That gives us these options for different types of shapes to use as the upstream key effect. So the first thing you need to do in any upstream keyer is choose what's called fill source, which basically says this is the source that you want to use in this effect. And we're going to slap this on top of the background. And of course, if you look at the multi-view, the program feed right now is my computer desktop. We could also, of course, make the program feed be the media player or any of the other cameras, but I'm going to make it the computer so that you can see what I'm doing better when you're looking at the multi-view. So back to this pattern. There's a bunch of different shapes available. There's different kinds of corner effects, and there also is this circle effect. So in order to actually see what we're doing with this effect, we're going to go ahead and press on air, which will bring this into the program. Or you can press key 1, which brings it into the preview so that you can then prepare that effect off camera and then bring it in once it's ready. But we're just going to go ahead and do this live. So the upstream keyer is now on, which means anytime I use any of these effects, we're going to be actually seeing that it is putting that effect over the program. And of course, I've got some random settings in here from various different projects, so it's kind of a mess. Okay, so back to pattern. We're going to choose the circle, and now we get a bunch of different settings in which we can use to control what this looks like. Right now, the size is 100%, and you can see if I shrink this down, it's going to get a little smaller. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on though, because softness is at 100%. And if I change the softness, what you'll see is you'll see the edge here gets sharper. So a soft edge will make it will sort of fade out, but then this sharp edge turns it into a more circle shape. And then the size is choosing how much of that video to crop in. And now I'm kind of off center. And if you wanted to reposition it, you could actually use this to choose which part of the video is being used. So I can go ahead and center myself here. That's pretty good. Softness, I probably don't want to go all the way down to 0 because it'll probably look too jagged. So let's bring it up a little bit. And then symmetry is actually choosing what shape of circle you want. So if you want a perfect circle, clicking that will reset it to a perfect circle. Otherwise it'll be some sort of oval. So click that, 81.6%, no idea why. All right, next up, you could mask this if you want. We're not going to need the mask in this case because I do want to use the full version of my feed, so make sure that's unchecked. So we're going to go ahead and use the flying key to be able to move this around and scale it. Now remember, this one is cropping. This is choosing how much of the video to crop. This flying key size is actually now scaling the video. So as I shrink myself, I can go down into tiny little dot, bring myself, I can even go now past 1 to make myself bigger if I wanted to, which is something new in one of the recent updates to the ATEM Mini. But we're going to go down to about 0.5, and now I can use the X and Y to just drag myself into the corner. Once I'm happy with where that's sitting, I'm just going to leave it there, and our effect is now ready. So once you've got those numbers dialed in, that's it. The effect is live, it's on the program feed, and we're done. Except that was a bit fiddly, and I would not want to do that during the middle of a program, especially because I may end up using the upstream keyer for other things during a program. So what I really want to be able to do is quickly restore these settings with the press of a button. And that's where macros come in. So macros are super useful for this. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to create a macro to restore this setting so that you can very quickly click a button, bring this effect in, and not worry about losing your settings. So go ahead and bring up the macros interface, click on the plus, and we're gonna go ahead and create a new macro. We'll call it circle picture in picture. Nope, circle pip. Hit record. Now, once it's recording, anything I press in the software control interface is going to be recorded into this macro. And you might notice that we're already set. We're already set up with this effect, and that means we have to actually go and recreate it in order for it to write those commands into the macro. So the easiest way to do this is to undo and redo every setting that it took to make this look like this, including whether or not you want to switch the background layer to this as well. I'm first gonna go ahead and choose the program input. If I tap it, it's going to record that into the macro. I'm then going to go ahead and prepare my key. So we're gonna go ahead and click upstream key. We need to click off of pattern and back into pattern to make sure it writes the pattern into the macro. We need to choose the fill source again. We need to choose that again. We need to now here go and set all of our settings. The easiest way to do this is to just tap into these number fields and then press enter. And if you do that for every one of them, it will write that value into the macro. And I see that it actually reset my position when I clicked that circle, so I need to go and scoot this over wherever I want it again. You also have to reset values that you don't want set. So if we don't want the mask, we have to actually go ahead and click it and then uncheck it again. Same with flying key, we need to make sure it's enabled and then go ahead and enter each of these and press enter. And now we've written all those settings into the macro. Now we're ready to turn it on. So to do that, I'm just gonna go ahead and press on air until it's on. And now that's set. So we can go ahead and stop recording. And that macro is now created. So we can go ahead and test it. I'm gonna go to the run tab, press recall and run. So I'm gonna go ahead and change everything up, undo this, go to chroma key, choose a different input, undo the flying key, whatever, right? Like change all of our settings, change the inputs and all of that. And now with recall and run enabled, when we press this, it should switch back to the computer as the main input, fix my upstream key settings, and then enable that. Cross your fingers. Looks good, it worked. So I like to make double sure that it's actually gonna work when I am writing macros. So to double check this, we're actually gonna go ahead and go to File and click Save As. And we're gonna call this Circle Picture in Picture, save this, and we're only going to save the macros. Now what we can do is actually open that file in a text editor and double check that it's got all of our commands written into it. So I'm gonna go over here to my text editor and find Circle Picture in Picture and ignore all the other macros from my actual programs. And here is the one we just made. So down here, we can see all of the commands that were written into the macro, starting with set program to camera 3, choose the pattern key type, choose camera 1 as the fill source, choose the circle, choose the key size, all of these different settings that we went and clicked through, disable the key mask, enable the flying key, setting the positions, and then lastly, key on air. So we can see here that we did actually write all of the settings into the macro, which means I know that when I go ahead and change any other settings, they will all be restored correctly once this runs. Well, that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one.